Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion on this glorious day. Giovanni and I are up at Inspiration Bridge, which is way back there, and I heard from the caretaker, who I've known forever. This wonderful gentleman, speaks a bunch of languages. He's absolutely brilliant and just very kind and sweet. But anyway, he said where we were walking, right here, is the biggest bear crossing on this large notch property. So who knew? So I know I keep talking about bears. You're like, oh, but you're not showing us any. I know, and I'm kind of mixed about it because part of me really wants to see them only at a safe distance. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious. I feel like I'm attracting them a little bit. But you're not as apt to see them in the middle of the day. You can, for sure. But so there was once recently when G and I pushed it because I got home from wherever I was, and it was just enough to kind of like daylight in the day. I'm like, oh, I can keep them on the leash maybe. I'm like, oh, it seems like I don't see anything. It wasn't dark, but it was like flirting with dark, you know, like dusky. And so I'm not sure if all of you know this, but I learned this after being up here, because I'm actually originally from New York, right? I learned all this kind of cool wilderness knowledge from being up here. And apparently, I've since learned for real by experiencing it, but bears make like a hooting sound, almost like an owl, a little different. And so it's like a hoo, hoo, hoo. So then, recently, I already kind of had that knowledge from someone the locals all know. And my youngest daughter and I were on a hike just like 2 weeks ago, met this wonderful older couple, and somehow the bear thing came up with the sounds, and he said, oh, just so you know, it's mating season, and all that hooting is the males looking for their women. So he said he actually was able to call one, doing the hoo, hoo, hoo thing, and the bear showed up, and he made a joke. He said that the bear was looking at him like, aren't you the ugliest looking bear I've ever seen? You know, he wanted a date. So not long ago, just a few weeks ago, a month ago, G and I were back here. We oh my gosh, again, dusky, and we heard the hoo, 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 hoo. I heard it from my right, then my left, then behind me. So and I mean close, like feet, because the bushes were thick and everything. And I think G and I were in the middle of a love triangle, right in the center. So he instinctively knew to come back and sit by my feet and put the leash on, which is not typical for him, because he runs, you know, he just runs. And it was like, come on, let's go. And it was just wild. So I thought I would share that with you just because it's kind of fun information. Okay, so my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm here today to chat with you not only about, you know, bear dating season in the woods, but also to affirm, not confirm, okay? So we talked about, little G's getting a drink. Where'd he go? There we go. We talked about, you know, the unconscious mind being, you know, sort of driving the bus, as we say. So about 95 to 96% of everything we say and do all day long is coming from the vault. So it's very, very important to get active, proactive, and actively engage, no autopilot, and really start your day out affirming things. I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am intelligent, I am funny, I am loving, kind, I am compassionate, blah, 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 blah. And especially to counterfact, that's the word we use in Minecraft. Actually came from Sean Aker, that isn't mine. Happiness Advantage guy. To counterfact, so especially if you've made some agreements along the way, when you were 2 and 3, before you even had language, you're not even aware of it, you're just aware of it now as an adult. Any agreements with anybody who, you know, kind of fed that you're not smart, or you're not attractive, or you're not whatever it is, that you're not enough, right? Intelligent enough, social enough, straight enough, gay enough, whatever enough, right? Just rich enough, whatever, successful enough, educated enough, to talk back to that stuff and affirm, proactively affirm. Because what happens when we don't actively affirm is the unconscious just rolls with the info it's already got, which will also roll into something called confirmation bias, which we've talked about before. Confirmation bias is very common, happens to all of us, and here's the thing, it's unconscious. It's unconscious. So what confirmation bias is we automatically, meaning unconscious, seek out information to support what we already believe. So that can be about ourselves, that can be about groups of people. That's where prejudice and discrimination come from, okay? So it's a brain thing, because it's in the vault and we're not even aware we're doing it. Then when we become aware we're doing it, that's when we can obviously change it. But okay, so we actively seek out information that we already believe to be true. And this is the part many people leave out with confirmation bias. It's twofold. It's not just that. In addition to actively seeking out what we already believe to be true, we also unconsciously ignore information that goes contrary to what we believe. So we're ignoring evidence that says this isn't true. At the same time, is looking for what supports it. Very important, and it's so strong. It's so strong. So that's true about groups of people, based on the color of skin and tattoos and yarmulkes and color of clothing and piercing. Whatever. However, we're judging people, okay, for whatever reasons, that's coming from whatever was said and supported by media and and people saying stupid ignorant things, and it just has supported that all the way along. And so it's really important to talk back to that. And confirmation bias also works with ourselves. So if we've grown up believing, and again, it could have been started before you even had language. If people are saying things to you when you were 8 months old and 12 months old and 2 years old and 3, we do not have a memory prior to 3 years old without some sort of severe trauma. That's called infantile amnesia. And we've also seen 2 and 3-year-olds walking around, and they've got it going on, right? They got little 2-year-old lives. They got pals playing in the sandbox, full sentences, asking if they can share the toy. 3-year-olds are talking about their birthday and who gave them what with, very well articulated, right? So they've got all that life going on, yet we don't remember it from 3 beyond. So just think about that. All the conversations that have happened with 2 and 3-year-olds, and we don't have any of it. And if people say they do, they've been watching, old home movies of themselves, listening to people or whatever, because we do not have memories, called infantile amnesia. Now, obviously, we're all wired differently, so that's an average. So maybe somebody has a memory at 2.5, whatever, unless there's some kind of big trauma. But the point of that is, think about all the life going on for a 2 and a 3-year-old. So all that's in the vault is my point, okay? She's having all this conversation. So if she's heard things like, oh, you're such a great dancer, good. Or, if it's the opposite, that the child overheard lots of things going on with mom and dad or dad and dad or whomever, right? All of that's in the vault. So we've got to talk back to that, because otherwise how it works is, not that the mind is like a cell phone in general, but in this particular way, I think you can relate. If we sort of punch something into a phone to search for it, but the phone doesn't recognize what the word is, it's going to spell check you to death and come up with all kinds of things that aren't real, but they're attached to whatever you put in. And the unconscious mind is like that. It's like a Google engine, searching. Okay, I found the part about not worthy. I heard it here, there, and there during these dates and during my preschool thing and my 3rd grade open house, and I heard all the things that, okay, so that all is going to happen unless we actively affirm things. For me, it's best in the beginning of the day, but I also do it all day long, honestly. If you do it in front of a mirror, it's even better, because otherwise the unconscious mind is going to actively seek out, just like we said, actively seek out info from your environment, meaning people and media, social media, whatever, that supports what you already believe about yourself. So if those things are not positive, we got to really, really start doing some work. And remember that the thoughts is the first part. You got to think affirming thoughts first. Then they turn into beliefs. Remember when little thoughts grow up, they turn into beliefs. And then when you really are up here on the high flying disc, being your highest vibe self, that's when you come to a place of knowing. So thoughts become beliefs in the unconscious, and then you just know. Not like you have to ask anybody. You're not looking for approval. You're not looking for any support of anything. When you're in a place of knowing, you are riding that high flying frisbee. Just knowing that you're enough, that you're smart enough, beautiful enough inside and out, compassionate enough, loving enough, everything enough. And that's the knowing stage, and that just is the place to be. So this is where we start. Affirm proactively, okay, with all the positive stuff, so that we don't let the confirming on autopilot continue to reinforce these bad thoughts and agreements that are taking you down. Okay, little G, looks like we got to sign off now. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn and Giovanni signing off from Inspiration Bridge at the Notch in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.